Buffalo After Dark is proud to recommend iBarbecue for you. Pre-orders are suggested by calling 716-880-7667. iBarbecue for you, Buffalo's new barbecue destination.
Just move the coyotes. Don't do another expansion.
Right? It never crossed my mind. So somebody called the house when I was out mowing the grass.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Holy shit, your face is like purple.
Are you still up?
All right, let's see. Oh wait, I'm gonna try to share this from my screen.
Buffalo After Dark.
Welcome to Buffalo After Dark, everybody. It is Thursday night, June 12th. And of course, we got Hanson. We actually have a new guy here, Brush, who's joining us for the first time. So, gentlemen, how's it going?
How we doing?
Good. So, Brush, tell us about yourself a little bit.
All right, well, let's see. I'm born and raised in Long Island. I've been a huge Islander fan my whole life. Miami Dolphins, Mets. I was living in Rhode Island for a long time, for a while, when I went away to school, college, Johnson and Wales.
Okay.
I recently just moved back to Long Island in November of last year. I am the owner of the Drive for Five Facebook group, which is an Islanders Facebook group fan club. It actually happens to be one of the largest ones in all of Long Island for the Islanders. I basically started the group, I want to say about 6 years ago. We now have over 7,300 people in the group. Yeah, I mean, and it's going great.
Good stuff. Well, so we're definitely glad to have you here. And there's actually a reason we've got you here because for people that are watching on YouTube and Facebook, of course, you can kind of see what our title says on the graphic, which is an end of an era. And so what we have decided to do, we only have 4 more episodes of Buffalo After Dark, and the Buffalo After Dark name is going to be retired.
Yeah, so Tom and I last week went into deep discussions and we pretty much went through the process and we pretty much decided as a team, as a duo, that we have made a lot of major changes into the show moving forward. So we got a couple of new guys. We'll probably get more in the future. Just to kind of give you an idea what we're doing, Buffalo After Dark, after the next 4 episodes, are going to be retired from us, officially archived, and they will be forever immortalized. However, we are starting a new era, and Buffalo After Dark will be renamed as I-86 After Dark. And most of us
You might be
probably
wondering where that name come from.
Yeah, no, I know what people are going to say. Isn't 86 like the code number to kill someone?
No, that's 187. But no, actually, the funny thing is we were thinking about it, and really what's happened in 5 years that we've been on this show, I mean, we've done over, I mean, this is episode 221. So considering that we're ending at 225, that's not bad. But considering we've gone 5 seasons. But no, we really wanted to expand the show. And a lot of what we've done is we actually evolved over time. So originally, for people that know us even from well over 10 years ago now, we strictly covered the Buffalo Sabres at the time. Then in 2019, we expanded to the Buffalo Bills. Then we started expanding into other sports, and as of the last couple of years, we've been starting to cover more of the Mets. We've covered more of the Islanders. We started covering other sports in general, and we even had mixed martial arts on here, which the Ultimate Fighting World, which it is good to say, the Steamroller is coming back for the season premiere, or actually our series premiere of the I-86 After Dark. So we're going to have him back on again, which will be great. And it really just got to where we really wanted to just bring a lot more into what we're doing, and we wanted to expand. So with that, we're going to have new people on here. Brush is one of them. We're going to have a couple others, and then for anyone who's wondering what's going on with our co-hosts and guests, we've had, of course, Andy, Luffy, and Rob. They will not be coming back as full-time for the new show. So we have chatted with them. Certainly, we just want to say to the three of them, we absolutely appreciate the time that they did spend with us, and certainly, I mean, they're always welcome to come back as a guest anytime that they like. But it was definitely one of those things we wanted to just end the current show as it is and go into a new direction. And Brush is part of the new show, so we figured, what the hell, we'll introduce them early and get them used to the things here, and have them talk about some of the different things going on, especially with the Stanley Cup Finals, which is happening, and that's going to be one of the first things we talk about tonight.
Talk about that, huh? It's quite the mouthful, huh, Brush?
Yeah.
What's that? No, I'm listening. Okay. I mean, hey, Florida right now is taking over the series and everything like that, and they're kind of in a way like horse playing around with Edmonton and trying to get them all mad to cause penalties. And you know what? Florida's doing the right thing right now. I mean, they're dominating right now. It'll be an interesting game tonight. Like, who's going to win? I mean, Edmonton better come out strong. Problem is with Edmonton is that they're causing too many penalties, which is giving a lethal power play to Florida, and they're just capitalizing. And and the rest is history right now. Edmonton had a great game. Game one, they took over that game, and now Florida, all of a sudden, you wait and everything, and now see all of a sudden Florida waking up, and it could be over. The series could be over after tonight. I mean, Edmonton's got to win tonight, and like I said, the penalties from Edmonton can't happen. They got to play their game.
Yeah.
They have to play their game. They just can't get dug in to the way Florida plays their game. Martian, he's an instigator. He likes to instigate stuff. He causes penalties. He's a smart guy. He's good at what he does. But Edmonton cannot go back at him. They let him do whatever he's doing and everything. And once Edmonton plays their game and everything, then the rest is history, and then we got a series. But if Florida wins tonight, I think that's it.
Yeah. And they got smoked 6-1 in the last game. So, but to your point, penalty minutes absolutely killed Edmonton because they had 30 more penalty minutes than Florida. When you compare the stats, 85 to 55, you have 85 minutes in the box, you're going to get killed.
Well, I mean, if there's one thing I could certainly say about the Stanley Cup Finals so far is that I'm actually really enjoying it a little bit more than last year. Only just because the first two games were just absolute master craftsmanship in terms of going to overtime, and then that fucking brawl that took place in game 3. And then all you need to know is that Brad Marchand has just outright just takes the cake as the biggest rat in the league. But then again, Florida has 3 of the biggest rats in the league to begin with, and they really got under Edmonton's skin. And I honestly would not be shocked, and I said this to Tom a week ago, is I said that if they won again at least one game in Edmonton and then win the next 2 in Florida, it's over.
Oh yeah.
It's over.
Well, I think another problem is, and here's the main question is with Edmonton is, how do you stop Bennett? Bennett right now is taking over and he's scoring and he's in the right places at the right time. How does Edmonton stop him?
Yeah, he's on fire right now.
Obviously, Bennett is in a contract year. He will be a UFA next year. He will be up for grabs. Mm-hmm. The rumor that's going on right now that Florida wants him back and is ready to offer him $7.5-8 million. He can easily get $10 million in the market. But it's all about, is he going to take over being comfortable over money? He already knows what Florida's about. They're a winning team. Mm-hmm. So does he take a pay cut to stay? Or does he go fetch that $10 million a year with perhaps maybe Toronto or some of the team like that,
Ooh, Toronto.
Right.
Oh, we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. But yeah, Bennett with his 14th of the playoffs. So, I mean, he's doing a lot of awesome things. But Toronto's got a lot of stuff they got to worry about too, because how about this deal? $14 million for Mitch Marner. It ain't happening.
Yeah, no. That dude is just asking for basically a payday that almost no one is going to do. Listen, I don't give 2 shits if they have the cap. Mitch Marner is a playmaker. They're paying him like he would be a goal scorer. Yeah, Anaheim has the money in the world to do it, but at the same time, You're paying for the quality of the player. You're not paying him just to come in and be the guy, because he was already like the right-hand man for Austin Matthews for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the fuck do you do at that point, at that point in time? I mean, yeah, Marner's going to demand a lot. And the only thing I've heard recently is that the two sides between the Leafs and Marner is not going very well. And the two of them are just way far apart from each other. And it's
Right.
getting to a point where it's probably likely heading into a divorce.
More than likely, and plus Toronto has more cap issues on top of that to begin with. But at the same time, when you look at Marner, is he a great player? Yes, he is. He's definitely one of the best when he's setting up Austin Matthews, as you mentioned. But look at what that core has done with Matthews in the last 10 years. They've crashed and burned in the playoffs every single year that they've been in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's a yearly tradition at this point.
Yeah.
With the Leafs.
Yeah,
but
blow
it's
Leafs
just
blow.
exactly. But as far as like the 14 million that is being reported by multiple media sources about Marner getting 14 million, I can't foresee him getting that in any other team deal. Maybe Utah, but Anaheim might have something.
Okay, sorry to cut you off, Bobby, but my prediction with Marner is, and obviously he's in the type of he's at his age where he's looking to win a Stanley Cup. I understand that to a point, but there's a rumor going around, and like I said, I don't know if it's true, so you're not going to hear me state it. It's just a possibility. I was hearing that a possibility that the Ducks might go all in and offer him $14 million to play. But once again, is it all about the money, or is it all about, winning that cup? Obviously, the Ducks are any close. Yes, I know they just made a trade for Kreider the other day. But, and he's also, and he supposedly has a good relationship with Strome that plays for the Ducks and everything like that too. So I'm just saying, possibility it could be the Ducks. I mean, if they're going to throw $14 million at him, yeah, that's going to be a tough sell, and that's also going to be a lot of money on the table. But obviously, if, say, for instance, the Knights throw $13-14 million, obviously, common sense says the Vegas is a lot closer to a Stanley Cup than the Ducks.
Oh, yeah.
So he may take that and run with it. Now you mentioned Utah as a possibility, too. Who knows? I mean, we don't. They're like right now. To me, free agency. It's a little early to even think about free agency because obviously we have the draft, and then the Islanders have the prospect game and all that other stuff. But yeah, free agency is around the corner. So yeah, you do got to start thinking about that a little bit. But like I said, it's all about like a player like that. He's going to chase the money, or is he going to chase a cup? And that's the same thing. And that goes the same way with Bennett, like you were talking about Bennett. Is he going to chase the money, or he might just win a cup with Florida, so he may consider going back there for a pay cut. It's hard to figure out what a lot of these players are thinking in free agency. Like there are ones that are willing to take a pay cut just to win that cup. Then there's those other ones that are greedy and like, I want top dollar. So, I mean, but you also got to think of it this way, too, with Bennett. He's in Florida. If he was to get paid $7-8 million from Florida, it's really like him getting paid $10 million because you got to put it in perspective with the taxes and everything that don't go on in Florida. True. So is he really getting paid $10 million? No. But once again, that $7-8 million is like getting paid 10 because you're getting taxes off of that in another state besides Florida. So I'm sure he's going to think of it that way too. And obviously his agent's going to be involved too. But at the end of the day, like I said, is it all about chasing the money, or is it all about winning a cup? A lot of these guys are in their mid-30s, and how much longer are they playing? That's the question. So they got to think of it.
I don't think it would be the smartest move for Bennett to leave, and I know that it's a business, but for him to take a pay cut at this point is likely. But he's going to probably demand the moon at this point, because assuming they win another cup, he would already have 2 on his resume. And it's like, okay, do I really want to, spend the rest of my career elsewhere? Or, do I want to stay in Florida? And, I'm already in a good situation. Why would I want to leave? But I know that they have to make cuts and all that, because I can tell you right now, if the Panthers pay Bennett to what he demands, they're not going to keep Aaron Ekblad. I can tell you that right now.
I mean, and look back at Bennett when he first started. I mean, he was drafted by Calgary, and he couldn't wait to get out of there and be in a better situation. And ultimately, it came with the trade where he ended up going to Florida, and then he's been able to go down there and win a cup at this point. So the good thing is he has options. I mean, he could possibly stay there, but then if Bennett were to leave, what are some options for him? Does he go back to Canada, possibly join the Leafs? I don't see that happening necessarily. I mean, could he? I mean, the Sabres would. He'd be a great pick for them, but the problem is Adams isn't going to do jack shit, and we know that. And then thinking about the Ducks, I mean, sure, they could absolutely pick him up, because then talking about what happened earlier in the week where Chris Kreider ended up getting traded to Anaheim, and basically in return, the Rangers ended up getting prospect Kerry Terrence and a third-round pick in the 2025 draft. And this was a guy that was third all-time for the Rangers.
In scoring, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about that trade is this trade was supposed to happen 2 days ago. And the only reason why it was so fucking delayed was because Kreider was having a mental breakdown and he had a panic attack when he found out about the trade going through. And he said, listen, before I sign off on any trade to any other team, not only do I want to get the Rangers' blessing, but I also want to talk to my wife and my family and talk to the Rangers and see if this is the best fit for me. And from multiple media outlets, from like Elliot Friedman to Larry Brooks, they all said that that Chris Kreider was completely on board at that point to sign off with the deal to go to Anaheim. And he accepted. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go to the Ducks. This might be the best thing for me. Because now, because of the trade, the Ducks will now have about maybe $34 million to play with at minimum.
They've got room to work with.
They do, but here's the issue with Kreider. Kreider's contract is for 2 years minimum, for $6.5 million. That's a big chunk for a 34-year-old.
It is. It is. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of that plays out, and also obviously it'll be interesting to see what happens with Bennett. But right now, with how Florida's playing, I mean, if they lose tonight, it's game over for them. Basically for the Oilers. I mean, Florida wins tonight, hey, Cup's coming back to Miami. Basically, in this case.
Unless the Oilers win tonight and then it forces them to go back to Edmonton in a split series, but we'll see what happens. I mean, again, I agree with you, Tom, that if Florida wins, it's over. And I called it. I said that if they win one game in Edmonton, the series is basically over.
Mm-hmm. Right. And think about what's happening tonight, too. I mean, Skinner's back in the lineup. And then, of course, the other thing is, I'm not sure if you heard, but did you hear that that the Edmonton goaltender was getting death threats, him, his wife, and his kids, for how his performance was in the previous series?
I did. I heard that recently. I mean, that's such a shitty thing, honestly.
It is.
Like
that's been going on. That's been going on for years and everything.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's like why threaten his wife and kids? I mean, come on.
Like, it's one thing if you want to talk about the player, but don't bring his family involved in that. That's very scummy.
Yeah, exactly. But that being said, I mean, we had some interesting things happen. So Dallas is looking for a new head coach because Pete DeBoer got fired after getting slammed in the last series. And they didn't wait long either. It was like the day after.
Honestly, that is so embarrassing. Like, the Dallas Stars themselves are in such a shithole right now because there's been rumors about Jason Robertson. There's been rumors that they might want to resign Mikael Granlund and Ilya Lyubushkin. And in order to do that, then they have to trade Robertson. It's like, not only are the Stars so desperate for cap space, but you're willing to trade a guy that literally scored 30, 40 goals in a season, not even 3 years ago.
Right.
I mean, I understand he's an RFA and all that, and yeah, he's 25, but whoever gets him, if he's traded, that team is going to benefit with him so nicely come off season. Guarantee you.
Yeah.
But the only thing is though, I have heard rumors about Robo as far as, being linked to other teams like the Sabres, obviously. I heard the Senators were involved. The Islanders were involved, I heard.
Yeah.
but I think realistically, though, he's going to go to the Kings. And the only reason I say this is because he grew up as a Kings fan growing up in Southern California. So there's a possibility that he could very well, be traded to LA. But I don't know if the Stars want to trade him to an interconference team. That's the only question.
I would think they'd probably want to try to hold off on it, but I mean, anything is possible. I mean, even on the Sabres end, we've seen trades go to Toronto before. So, I mean, there's been times that both teams have dealt with each other, or even way back when the Quebec Nordiques were around. I mean, Peter Svoboda was traded from the Nordiques to the Sabres. So, I mean, there's times that you have interdivision trades that happen. It's not uncommon. And, anything could really happen with that. But then, thinking about the Sabres right now, Bowen Byram is possibly on the trading block. And all I can say is if Kevin Adams actually does pull a trigger and trade Bowen Byram, he's a fucking idiot.
Well, what did you expect from a yes man that kisses both asses?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I expect Jarmo Kekalainen to put the brakes on that, but obviously he hasn't done that yet.
Well, he just got the job not even 2 weeks ago. So
fuck it, put the brakes on it still. He's your best defenseman other than Dahlin.
I think this is all on Terry, for the fact that the guy is so inept about the Sabres at this point. It's like it makes your brain go numb. And to the point that where you're willing to trade Bowen Byram of all people. Like, dude, listen, I'll gladly take him on the Islanders for Noah Dobson or Alex Romanoff. Your choice. I will gladly take him.
Oh, fuck. And to think I had another conversation with the front office earlier this week, a couple days ago.
Like they were going to listen to you, Tom.
Probably not. And instead it's like, oh, do you want to buy season tickets? No. Why do I want to pay for this shit product right now?
Yeah, really? Did you tell them that, though? I'm curious.
I basically said it's like I'm not paying for the product that's on the ice right now. And I was straight up honest with him too. When he asked about the fan engagement, I said, your in-arena entertainment sucks. Your entrances of the players suck. You want a perfect example of how to do things the right way? Go to fucking Seattle. We were there in October. Remember how they turned that whole ice surface into a 3D projection map of like how they had like the ocean and the Kraken and everything? Yes. That was probably one of the best entrances I've seen any team do.
Right, and you know what? And I was kind of expecting Seattle to do it. Right, and you know what? When we went to Seattle, we were fully engaged at that point.
I mean, we're not necessarily Kraken fans. We enjoy good hockey, but they made that a great experience, and we're not even diehard Kraken fans.
Or have any rooting interest in them either.
Right, exactly. Or even when we went to Vancouver, they made us part of the game, and that building was loud.
Oh, yeah, for certain. But you know what? I do want to mention something real quick about Pete DeBoer before I forget. Yeah. Is that I have heard, now that he's gone, I have heard some names being thrown around with the Dallas Stars job. One being Jay Woodcroft was one that was a possibility.
Okay. Not a bad choice.
Yeah, I've heard Glenn Galutson, the ex-GM of the Calgary Flames. I heard he's available as a possible choice for the Stars. And then I've heard somewhere John Tortorella was available, but I don't think he's going to do it. Oh,
God. Yeah, Dallas ain't going that route. I honestly, if Woodcroft gets a job, I think he would be actually a pretty good fit for them. I mean, I don't think necessarily DeBoer had to get shit canned right out of the gate, but I understand why they did it because, of course, he got embarrassed in that series, and then there are some other decisions here and there. But Woodcroft, if it were me, I would probably give him the nod.
Well, my biggest thing on Pete DeBoer is that he's a very stubborn coach, and he's been coaching in the NHL now for about 15 years, and he's already been on 4 teams. You know, he coached the Devils, he coached the Sharks, he coached the Golden Knights for a little bit, and then he coached the Stars. Mm-hmm. So Pete DeBoer is a good coach. I'm not taking anything away from him.
He's had winning teams.
But the issue with him is he's very arrogant, and he thinks his way is the only way that can actually fix everything. For instance, like when they got eliminated by Edmonton a few weeks ago in Week 5, he did instead of blaming his structure or blaming the players for not stepping up and things like that, instead he blames Jake Ottinger for how they lost that game. And I'm like, oh wow,
how can you blame Ottinger for that?
Yeah, really. Because you know why he chose Otter? Because Otter wasn't a scapegoat. That's why Pete DeBoer chose him.
Yeah, it wasn't Ottinger's fault. I mean, he was standing up in net no problem for pretty much the entire series. It was the fact that his system collapsed, and basically when you have no D in front of your goaltender, you're going to lose.
Right. And this is a big issue because think of it like this. Dallas
Just
is
like the Buffalo Sabres.
Right. But here's the difference. Dallas is desperate for a change. I mean, getting rid of Pete DeBoer is one thing, but getting rid of Jason Robertson is another. Because
Yeah,
it's
you don't
like
wanna do that.
it's already being said that they're willing to sign Ilya Lyubushkin and Mikhail Granlund, who are both unrestricted free agents in a few weeks. They rather sign those two who are in their 30s over a 40-plus goal scorer. Gee, I wonder who that sounds a lot
Yeah,
like.
and Lyubushkin didn't do much with the Sabres when he was here. And then you figure, I mean, when you have Robertson, you've got to keep your leading point man. You've got to keep your 30, 40 goal scorer. I mean, it's that simple. That'd be like Washington getting rid of Ovechkin, who scores over 40 goals a year half the time. You just don't do it.
Well, unfortunately for Dallas, they kind of threw all their fortune away when they signed Mikko Rantanen. They kind of signed their own death sentence at that point.
Right. And don't get me wrong, Rantanen did a lot of good in the playoffs, but at the same time, you blew half your cap on him.
Yeah, they paid him $12 million because that was the money he demanded.
Yeah.
And then
And now you
once-
can't sign anybody.
No, you can't. So not only are you forced to get rid of Robertson, you have no choice but to pretty much pay for two guys that are rentals, and you want to give them contract extensions?
Yeah, they screwed themselves. It's that simple. They just screwed themselves.
I mean, like I said, this is all on Jim Nill. This is all on him for the salary cap issue the Stars are going through right now.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy to me because it's like you're putting this much energy and time into your team, and then you're on the verge of blowing it up because you got cocky and arrogant about signing Mikko Rantanen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look where it got him. I mean, basically, you still didn't get out of the semis in the playoffs, or I mean, the quarterfinals in the playoffs, and then you end up getting your head coach fired because he wants to not be accountable and basically blame the players instead of blaming his own system. And then here we go, Dallas. You're back in Shitsville again. So, enjoy it while you had it, because now you're going to be trying to retool for a while, and you're going to be having to unload players that are actually worth it.
Absolutely. So now that that's out of the way, thank God, Bowen Byram. Oh my fucking God. Bowen Byram. The one player you don't want to trade if you're the Buffalo Sabres. Holy crap.
Yeah. And Adams is like, oh, let's trade him. Let's do a deal.
What a goddamn joke. And the only reason,
moron.
yeah, really. And then Kevin Weeks on X the other day posted saying that he was saying, quote, that he was told that there are multiple sources to him that there are teams inquiring about his services.
If I'm the GM right now, or if I'm the president of hockey operations, I'm telling Kevin Adams, you trade Byram, your ass is fired. And I'm basically telling him straight up, you're not trading Bowen Byram because he's your second best defenseman other than Rasmus Dahlin.
And guess what's going to happen next if you trade Byram? Dahlin is going to want out. And there's already a rumor that I read too that Alex Tuch is undecisive of whether he wants to stay in Buffalo or not. Like, I knew he grew up a Sabres fan and all that, but it's like, dude, if you're going to make a decision about your contract, are you going to stay or you're not going to go? But if there's one thing that's abundantly clear, is the Sabres are waiting on him. And once they get the word about Tuch of whether he's going to stay or if he's going to go, if he chooses to go, they're going to trade him this offseason.
Right. Yeah, and if that's the case, you better get assets for him. But Kevin Adams should have never been GM in the first place. And literally, the fact that he's even entertaining the fact of trying to get an offer for Bowen Byram is absolutely brutal. I mean, what are you going to get for Byram? What are you going to do? Trade him for nothing?
All right, I have one for you.
Yeah,
How about this? How about this for a trade proposal? Brush could come in all he wants. I don't care about this one.
I got to hear it. Come on. Let me hear
All right, here's my proposal. All right, Brush, shut the fuck up. Here's my proposal. So I'm willing to trade Alex Romanoff, next year's first-round pick, this year's second-round pick, and another veteran like J.G. Pajot to the Buffalo Sabres for the rights of Bowen Byram.
Okay, well, here's the problem. And I know where you're going with this, and I like it to a direction. Okay? That 2022 pick, first-round pick for next year, all right? Obviously, all the cards got to fall right and everything. I mean, it's like the Islanders. Hey, it was luck. They got the first pick in the draft and everything. Next year's and this is the reason why the Islanders, when they made that trade for Brock Nelson, they wanted a 2026 first round pick for a good enough reason. Obviously, next year's draft is going to be better than this year's. It's actually supposed to be a very strong draft next year. Now, listen, I'm not a draft pro or one of those that thinks I know what the draft and everything. I don't know jack shit about it. But I do know from what people have been telling me, some certain people, that next year's draft is going to be really strong. Do the Islanders want to get rid of it? I don't know. But you see, it's going to be like a domino effect. It really depends on what the Islanders do in this year's draft. Like they got the first pick. And I'm sure you guys are going to discuss about the draft, but it's a domino effect.
Yeah.
You have to wait and see what the Islanders do in this draft. Can they grab another first-round pick for next year's draft, say from San Jose? If they do, then yeah, there's a possibility that other first-round pick they got from Colorado could be in play. But like I said, we have to wait. We have to wait and see what Darch does with the Islanders. We have to see. I mean, you already know my opinion with the draft. I don't want Schaefer. I do not want to touch him. And some people don't agree with me on this, but this is just coming from me. And I've actually talked to a good friend of mine whose son could have made the NHL, but he had a real bad hip injury. Okay, he's basically telling me the situation with Schaefer's, that the collarbone situation where he just had it broken and just recovered from it, yada this, yada that. I'll tell you this right now. Going into next year, whenever the year he turns pro, if he gets hit the wrong way and breaks that collarbone again,
you're screwed.
that thing's going to shatter. That thing is going to shatter, and then there's going to be so many problems and everything like that. And I know the Islanders aren't stupid. They're a big organization. Their doctors are not stupid. So I'm sure they've already looked into this. But I am not taking a gamble and taking Schaefer. Okay, number one, he's a 17-year-old kid. He's playing in the OHL, playing with young kids. Hagens, on the other hand, who I really want, is 21, 22 years old, playing against adults. He has already had that experience playing with adults and yada this, yada that. Yeah, I get Hagens, quote unquote, from what these pro scouts are saying, he's falling down the draft. I don't care at this point. You got Meeser. I tell you the truth. If I had to pick between Meeser and Schaefer, I would pick taking Meeser at the end of the day if I had to pick him. But, there's all these rumors and all these tough guys think they know what they're talking about, the draft and everything like that. Listen, I'm a rookie at this. I don't know jack shit. But I know exactly from what I want and everything like that. And I do not want Schaefer. I want Hagens. I mean, I'll tell you this right now. You get Hagens in the Islanders and everything, that brings in people. You're going to be selling tickets. And just think about this. And I've talked to you about this, Bobby. Bridgeport Islanders attendance is averaging 1,500 people at games. If you imagine this, in 2 years, if you get Hagens and Yzerman down in Bridgeport, you're going to be selling merchandise, number one. You're going to be selling merchandise, number one, and you're going to get the fans coming in because they're going to start winning. Obviously, it all starts with getting a coaching staff in. There hasn't been any word who they're bringing in for that yet. But
I actually have a word on that, but there is something I want to say real quick before we let you continue.
Go ahead.
John Blaine is here, so let's introduce Mr. John Blaine. How are you doing tonight?
Hey there.
I'm doing good. I'm glad to finally make it in here.
All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And he's another one of the new faces we're bringing in for next season as well. So you'll definitely be getting to know him quite a bit more.
Yeah, so Mr. Blaine here is a behemoth New York Mets fan, and he's going to be covering the Mets for us to help us out. And he's going to help us behind the scenes as well. Same with Brush. We have a lot of exciting shit coming forward with I-86 After Dark, and the four of us are going to collaborate moving forward. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yep. And definitely when we get into the second half of the show, we are going to be talking about the Mets because obviously they're on a good winning streak right now. And of course, best record in the league. So even better. We'll talk about that in a few. But let's pick up right where we left off, though, because I know we were talking a little bit about the draft. And then obviously we have the CBA that's going to be coming up, too. So we definitely want to cover that before we move into the second half.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's two CBAs I want to talk about. One in hockey and one in baseball. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So the CBA in the NHL is actually coming in very smoothly, and this actually came out yesterday. And from Pierre LeBrun, he said the NHL and the NHLPA had another bargaining session today here in Florida, and it continued to get closer to an extension. He's told that there remains to be a handful of issues to still get resolved, but all sides, as of right now, are pointing to getting the deal done pretty soon rather than later, and it could be done to present themselves to the owners on June 25th, which is the Board of Governors meeting in Miami.
Interesting. And then of course, I mean, there is talk about making some changes to the draft. It could be moved, but they're also looking to go back to the old style of way they did things.
Yeah, there's also been chatter about relocating the draft because it's virtual this year. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen. As of right now, it's being monitored, but we'll see what happens because right now the draft's in LA for the time being. But they still, I would think they're going to have to make the change before next week if they're going to do it at another site. That's my thought process on all this.
Right.
Because it's supposed to take place at the Peacock Theater, but unfortunately some things are happening down there. And for full disclosure, so
The
we're not
riots.
going to get into that.
Yeah, we'll just say the riots are happening down there. But yeah, last before we get into the next part of the show, which obviously, I mean, Atlanta's a little bit closer to coming back to the NHL again, which I'm like, oh God, why do we need an Atlanta team for the third time? But on top of that, Bobby, you guys have some of the new assistants down on the Islanders now, and you got Bugner and you got Bennett.
Boy, I don't know how I feel about that one. I mean, I'll take Ray Bennett any day, but Bob fucking Bugner.
Dude, I love
fucking
watching him beat
Bugner.
the shit out of people in his day.
No. Here's the thing. You don't hire a fucking fatty who ran the penalty kill in the NHL and ranks at 32nd and dead last and make the fucking Red Wings into a degenerate original 6 team. I'm sorry. You don't do that. And that's what Bobby fucking Bugner did with the Red Wings.
Oh man! But yet he could fight with no problem back in his day.
And trust me, his drunk ass is only there because Patty Wad likes him so much.
Shit. Oh man. Well, what we'll do, obviously Atlanta, we're gonna keep an eye on that situation too, because I mean they are looking at building a new hockey specific arena, which of course they did have the arena known as the State Farm Arena, but basically it got renovated and now it's basketball only. So now of course Atlanta's got to build another place, but who knows what's going to happen? All I know is anyone who's followed the show for a long time, if there's going to be an expansion team out east, give us the Quebec Nordiques back and bring back the Battle of Quebec, which those two teams absolutely hated each other, and it was beautiful to watch.
Yeah. So what Tom was saying before we get to the other half of the show, which is baseball, that's where Mr. Blaine comes in because his bread and butter is baseball.
Mm-hmm.
It is being said by multiple sources, specifically NHL Atlanta on X, and they pretty much said that Atlanta is going to be coming back to the NHL in a couple of years. And most people, anybody that knew this was going to happen, eventually once the Kraken were presented, they said immediately, we're going to bring back Atlanta. So Forsyth County.
Back to the mic.
Wait, what? Oh, sorry. So Forsyth County has voted to approve the final documentations that would allow the Cross Group to formally propose an NHL expansion team in the Metro Atlanta area. The group is now expected to present its complete proposal to the league in the coming weeks, and the vote, which passed yesterday, even was widely seen as the final hurdle, and expansion is likely imminent.
Oh, Atlanta, why are you doing it for a third time?
I mean, sure, it's not like having two failed franchises just does anything for you, you know?
Yeah, let's see. The Atlanta Flames, which moved to Calgary. Then you have the Winnipeg Jets, which was, of course, the Atlanta Thrashers. And now you have, right now, as of this point, the Atlanta No Names.
Well, Mr. Blaine, I need to ask you, what do you think of this with Atlanta getting a third try on an expansion team?
I personally don't understand why. To me, if you've had two franchises that failed, why try a third time? And I would say, if the first two franchises wanted out of Atlanta as quickly as they did, why would a third franchise want to stay there?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Well, the first time is the 70s and they moved to Calgary was because they were not selling tickets enough. And the Thrashers, when they were around, they had really crappy owners. So
Oh,
it
yeah.
wasn't a fault of the fans on
Yeah,
either
the owners
side.
focused strictly on the Hawks. They didn't give a crap about the hockey team.
Yeah, and
I'll put it this way. Sorry to cut you off for a second. To me, it's this whole thing of, oh, every major city needs to have a hockey team. No, they don't.
Yeah.
well, I mean, I wouldn't be against the idea of having a third term in Atlanta. The only way I would logistically say, if you're going to expand to Atlanta again, you better damn make sure you have security, because the Thrashers did not have that when they were at Phillips Arena. They were renting that place. So when they get the new building in Forsyth County or Forsyth, whatever you call it,
Mhm.
once they get the new building in downtown of Atlanta, then you better be sure that you could get people to stay, because both of those teams that were in the NHL at that time, the Flames, I think, only lasted like what 3-4 years in Atlanta.
It wasn't long.
No, it wasn't. And then the Thrashers, they were there for more than a decade, and then they folded and then became the Winnipeg Jets. So
Mhm.
I think retrospectively, if they were to bring back the team to Atlanta, because based on that report, a lot
Well
of people
done,
are
well
saying
done.
I would chill to have the Thrashers back, but I don't know. It's really going to come down to a lot of factors, ownership and the fans and how you build your foundation. Because I still have that vendetta with the team, that because they've been so shit for so long. It's
Mhm.
like, if you're trying to reincarnate a dead franchise and, bring it back to the dead, then you better be sure you do it right. That's how I look
Mhm.
at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the new building that they're going to do in Atlanta, should everything go forward, it's not going to be in downtown Atlanta. It's actually going to be out in the suburbs, and that's where a lot of their hockey base ended up being. So it actually does have a little bit of a chance to do something, which is kind of funny because the Atlanta Braves moved out of Atlanta and they moved to the suburbs when they built Truist Field like 10 years ago or whatever it was, or Truist Park.
Here-
But
here's
they also
one thing.
developed it.
Here's one thing too, and Bobby, I heard you, which you could be accurate, but I'll tell you this right now: don't count Houston out for a team too, because I've heard a lot of things about the possibility of Houston getting an NHL team too.
Yeah, well,
and that building is NHL ready, and they've already
trust me.
renovated it.
Trust me, Brush.
Correct.
Trust me when I say this. Coming from me, guy. There's going to be an expansion team in Houston in less than 5 years, because the plan is to get Atlanta first to come back, and then have Houston come into the picture, and then bring back the Coyotes. How the hell are they going to bring back the Coyotes? They just died, literally a
Right.
decade. They literally just died a fucking year ago, and then you
Yeah.
relocate to Utah, then you become
And
a-
they
the
end up
fuck-
having great fanfare ever since they moved, and they sell
And
out
they-
every game.
and then your new logo is the Utah Mammoth. It's like you
Right.
rebranded an entire fan base, and it's like,
Yeah.
holy Christ!
And
Like,
and
go
even
ahead.
better, they didn't waste time on redoing the Delta Center either. They already started that to get more fans in there, because they want to have it where they're selling out with 17,000 plus every night instead of 12, which is
Oh,
still
yeah.
better than 5 in that freaking college mullet arena.
Like, John, for example, if I said to you right now, like, would you, because you're a Mets fan, so if let's say Major League Baseball comes out and they say, well, we're going to bring back the Expos, we just need to get a couple of more things here and there. Do you think that would do you think that would essentially be, like a good idea in retrospect compared to this, what's happening with the Thrashers?
Absolutely, because I think Montreal needs a baseball team. The atmosphere up in Canada is so different that it is in the States. And Montreal, to me, simple thing: take the Miami Marlins out of Miami. The town, the stadium that holds maybe
Which Miami
8
doesn't give a
people.
shit about them.
Maybe 8 people, and 7 of them work for the team. Have them move up to the Montreal, rename them the Expos. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if you take out the people that work for the Miami Marlins, you have maybe a net fan base of what, 5?
I mean, I look at it as a Met fan. I mean, first of all, I'm proud of this team right now,
Mhm.
but we need competition, and we'll get more into it when we get into baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will. But the point is that with the whole thing with the Thrashers and with Atlanta, I would personally be happy for the fans, but I would not be happy about it with the NHL's reputation, because they've already done the city twice and they're looking to go back a third time. if MLB pulled this shit with the Expos after 30 plus years almost, the league would get crushed.
Yeah.
No,
They
I
would
agree.
get crushed.
Yeah. It's nuts.
No, it's nuts to me because the fact that, like I said, you know, the fact that the Thrashers are even entertained about coming back into the league at this point is ludicrous to me. I'm sorry, it's just nuts.
Yeah,
Well, when you have a guy by the name of Turner Sports, which is also known as TBS, he has money and he's going to get involved. There's your answer right there.
yeah. Ted Turner's loaded. We all know that.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of money in his pocket.
He does, but I don't think he was that heavily involved with the Thrashers the first time.
Yeah, I don't think he was either. I mean, he's definitely been involved with the Braves before. I mean,
No, you want to know who was? I'll tell you. You want to know who was definitely involved with the Thrashers back in the day? I want to say his name is Quan. The one that owns AEW.
Tony Khan.
AEW.
Tony Khan and his father. His father was involved with the Atlanta Thrashers because remember, they're originally from Georgia, I believe from Atlanta, and obviously he's the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, Shad Khan?
So
Yeah,
he was
Shad Khan.
supposedly, from my understanding, he was the one that was really involved with the Atlanta Thrashers. So maybe Turner and him will get together and basically say, why not? But I'll tell you this right now, I think Houston has a better chance than Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah, be interesting to see what they do, and they put a lot of money into the Toyota Center the last few years too, because I mean they have the ice plant ready to go. It already can hold a regulation rink. They just redid all the seating, new scoreboards, new everything. So, I mean that place is ready to go, and that's actually one of the things I talked to the front office about. Basically, when I talked to the Sabres earlier this week, I said the only good thing you had in your arena this year is that brand new Mitsubishi scoreboard you put up. Other than that, everything else was shit. So that's pretty much how I put it. And I was there for the home opener, and I watched us get smoked by the Kings in the third period by having a freaking hat trick by fucking Kopitar. So, it was just nuts. It was just nuts. But anyways, we'll move into the next part of the show. And obviously, of course, you guys joining us, so we appreciate it. You can watch us on YouTube. Of course, we're live on there right now, so feel free to hit us up on the chat. Also, we're live on our Facebook page. And of course, if you want to check out previous episodes, go to Spotify.com, look up Buffalo After Dark, and of course, we are there. But after this season, it's going to be known as the I-86 podcast. Actually, I-86 After Dark. I'm still having to get used to that name because we just renamed it. But anyways, we got some new faces with us. We got Brush, we got John Blaine here. Of course, we got Hanson with us. So, of course, nice to have you guys with us. And we're going right into baseball because this is that great time of the year. And obviously, one of the big things, and this is John's specialty right here, is the New York Mets. And right now, league best 44-24. Peterson just had a complete shutout, and Juan Soto is heating up.
Yeah. First of all, I'm just looking at their schedule now going ahead. After the series with Washington, they got 3 with Tampa, and then they could really actually if they really want to, they could actually pull away from Atlanta and Philly, because you got Atlanta for 3 games, Philly for 3 games, and then you're home for Atlanta for 4 games.
Yeah, and Atlanta's underperforming this year. They really have not stepped up, and they haven't repeated from last year.
And that surprises me, because I, as a lifelong Met fan, the Braves just give me nightmares. I mean, I still remember back in the day when the Braves had Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, and Greg Maddux.
Yeah, that was like one of the best rotations.
Yeah, the 3 aces.
Speaking of the Mets, if you guys remember last year when the Mets were coming to the playoffs, what was the biggest problem with the Mets? It was starting pitching.
Yeah, the rotation.
So what did the Mets did in free agency this year? They loaded up on free agency with Cannon, Montross. They re-signed Manaea. The Spider-Man is back, obviously, but he's hurt. Again, let's pray that he's not hurt. And they had a couple of the pitchers in. So basically, what the Mets did was they backed themselves up with pitching this year and everything. They're getting a couple of relief pitchers on the waivers and stuff like that. And that was the big issue last year. Now, as you look at the Dodgers and everything, they have like 19 pitchers on the DL. Dodgers didn't do their homework. The Dodgers did not go out and go grab pitching like the Mets did. And that's what's going to hurt the Dodgers this year. Obviously, the Mets could have easily beat them like 6 out of 8 games, but they faltered in a couple. They still haven't won a record against them.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I believe that's the same exact problem with Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't have the pitching too. They have a couple players that are out. Acuna is back and everything, but he can't save the team.
Right. And then if you look at what the Mets ended up doing recently too, I mean, they traded for Justin Garza.
Yes. So that was an interesting deal that happened. So as of Saturday, what was it that they made the trade with? Was it? It was the Giants. So the Mets ended up acquiring a right-handed pitcher by the name of Justin Garza from the Giants for cash.
You're put
Free
on the
money,
spot
folks.
there, buddy.
But you see, that's exactly what I'm talking about, though. The Mets are stocking up because they're preparing themselves to going in the playoffs. That there's no such thing as enough pitching in this league. Whether it's like I said, whether it's a waiver claim or if it's a trade for cash, you can stock some of those pitchers in Syracuse, get them prepared and ready just in case the Mets need them, with an injury. And then they're being smart this year with stocking up and pitching, whether it's relieving or starting pitching.
Yeah, and really with what ends up happening is that, I mean, they end up getting Justin Garza in that trade for cash considerations, and then on top of it, you have the option with Brandon Waddell.
Right. But I think what really is the ultimate catalyst talk with the Mets is that at least for the good portion of the year, the team has been healthy. Like, I know Senga went down with a hamstring injury, but hopefully it's not a severe injury. But, they're supposed to get Manaea back pretty soon. I mean, Sean Manaea has been out for pretty much the majority of the season, which sucks. But as soon as he comes back, this bullpen's going to be very, very different. But we're hoping that Senga's injury is not that serious. But because if he's not out long term, then you might want to keep him ready to go. I also wouldn't be surprised if the Mets were to talk to the Rockies come the trade deadline in the end of July, early August. Yeah, and talk to them about German Marquez. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I think with the
Yeah, go
Mets,
ahead.
just to add to it, I think when we're talking about them with the trade deadline, usually the comment is, well, they're X amount of games behind Atlanta, they're X amount of games behind Philly. It's been a while since the Mets have been in this position where they're kind of in a comfortable lead, being in first place. So I don't know if they're really going to want to go out and, try to ruin what they have already. I mean, yes, granted, I think they got to pick up some pieces, especially going into the second half and making the run towards October. But unlike before, when it was, okay, we're at the trade deadline, well, we got to sell off this guy, sell off this guy, sell off this guy. I think we're going to see a much different team going into the trade deadline this year.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that they needed to address was the pitching. That was a huge problem last year, and I remember actually seeing some games down there as well. And actually, it was my yearly visit down to Bobby's place down in his neck of the woods. But although I did manage to see that 8-0 getting smoked, and then all of a sudden they decided to go on that huge run at the end of the season to make it in. But at the same time, just thinking about what's going on, I mean, they're in a good spot right now. And who would have thought that Philly would not be playing that well either? I mean, they're playing okay. It's not great. They're not horribly back right now behind the Mets, but at the same time, Atlanta was one of the biggest surprises this year because nobody expected them to be falling backwards the way that they did. But they've had some pitching issues too. And then of course the Dodgers, I mean, right now when you have all those pitchers on the DL, I mean, you're not going to do much with that, if anything, at this point.
Here's the funny thing, I'm just looking at the standings quickly. The Mets right now in the National League have the biggest lead on a second place team of any other first place team. Chicago's up only 5 games over St. Louis. The Dodgers are up a game over San Francisco. The Mets are 5.5 up on Philly. And like I mentioned before, they got Philly coming up next weekend. There is a good chance if the Mets continue playing the way they are and they don't try to be that, we have to go for the long ball every game and they play almost like small ball baseball. That 5.5, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be 8.5, but could be 7.5 come the end of the month.
Yeah,
7.5, 8.5.
Series. Yeah.
And if you can put yourself in a position where you're almost 8.5 games going into the trade deadline, I'm not saying take your foot off the gas, But at least now you're not in the position like Mets fans remember for years, where it's okay, we got to jump this team, we got to jump this team, we got to jump this team. Now it's like, okay, you're in first place. But now I want to ask you guys a question, kind of flip it a little bit here.
Yeah.
You know how the Mets, their two big offseason trades, or signings, let me put it that way, was Juan Soto and Pete Alonso.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, at close to the end of the first half, which one do you think has had the biggest impact on this team?
Oh, definitely Polar Bear. Definitely Polar Bear. Because, for one, you're talking about a guy who almost left the Mets for more money. The dude almost took more money to go to fucking Canada, of all places. And the fact that Pete was willing to come back on a short-term deal, which is nice, but the big thing is that they're going to have to pay him again and for more money. I have no problem with what he's doing right now. And I know he has an opt-out after this year, but Pete Alonso is playing for the extra bucks. And the Mets, I'm almost certain, is going to be paying him what he wants. And the fact that he's on such a great pace right now really specifies about the offense. But as for Soto, and of course I want to talk about Michael Kay, because that dude's a fucking clown. I want to specify Juan Soto in the very beginning. Everyone rubbed him off already, and they said he's lazy, he doesn't give a shit, he doesn't want to do this, he's this and that, and it's just like so tiresome. But then I remember, oh yeah, this is New York, and the majority of the media are Yankees fans, so it doesn't really change anything as far as like the outcome of at least the first half of the season.
And I just want to add one other thing, though, because I was looking at Pete Alonso. If the Mets are able to continue this and they can get to October and win a World Series, and Pete Alonso, let's say in a couple of years from now, decides, okay, I have enough, I retired, I would put him as being the only, probably one of the first lifelong Met players to play for this Mets team in his entire career since Ed Kranepool.
It's a good thought.
It's a good thought, but we have to. I mean, here's the issue. I get it. Alonso's playing against his own self with this contract. Doesn't mean that he's going to accept the whatever it is, the money that he's due for next year. Obviously, he'll probably decline it because he's playing against his own self and he's producing. He's going to get more money on the market. And this was a gamble the Mets took and everything. And they knew that it was desperate because let's put it this way, guys. If Alonso was not in this lineup, do you think the Mets record would be the same?
Maybe, but
I don't know about that. I would have
I'm not
to say
100% sure.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying, I mean, give and take. If Alonso wasn't on this team, depending on who your first baseman is, maybe take away at least 7 to 8 wins. And we're not talking about the Mets being 21 games over 500 right now. Alonso is a big piece of this puzzle. We know as Mets fans that he wanted to come back. And it was all on the owner. It was Steve Cohen that did it. He, as we know, he took that little surprise visit out to Tampa to have a one-on-one talk with the Mets. He laid it straight down. I want you back. So basically, they gave him a contract. He took it. He's playing against his own for next year. And he probably declined it. And the Mets now are going to have to ante up. And you know what? If they have to ante up, you ante up. If you want, I think they're definitely World Series contenders. Definitely, no doubt about it right now.
Yeah.
But you have to think of next year. Thank God, knock on wood, there's no salary cap in baseball. We would be screwed.
Oh yeah.
But
better off with the luxury tax.
Exactly. But like I said, going into next year and everything, we would obviously not. We're not going to worry about that this year. But going into next year, we have to think that he's going to decline it and he's going to want more money, and that means Steve Cohen is going to have to ante up. Now, Cohen looking at his numbers right now, he is on a crazy hitting streak, RBIs and home runs right now. Who knows what he's going to get at All-Star break? He should be starting the All-Star game, which I would expect him, and I can only imagine how many more Mets are going to be in this All-Star game. But if the Mets go to the World Series and then win it, obviously Alonso is a big piece of the puzzle here. And just imagine if he wasn't on this team. I mean, we got him the last minute. Cohen, like I said, Cohen to the rescue, did a little surprise visit out to him in Tampa, got the deal done, 2-year deal. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm not worried about next year. I'm worried about this year. And the way that they're playing right now, the only thing that will hurt the Mets right now is the pitching staff. But knock on wood, we still have that trade deadline in place, and you know that the Mets are going to be players at the trade deadline if they think they need an extra piece here and there, whether it's a utility, whether it's a reliever, or whatnot. Because those teams that are going to start faltering and they have their free agents, hey, time to get on the phone with them and see what we can get done. But this right now, even watching today's game and even watching, what was it, game 1 of the Washington series, how they came back, it's just amazing and everything is falling in place and going the way with the Mets. Keep rocking and keep going with this and everything. And hey, you know, anything is possible with this team the way they're going right now. And hey, it's great and it's exciting to be a Mets fan.
Yeah, and as we got into the last part of last season, I mean, you figure like the last 25, 30 games or so, they learned how to win. They turned it around. They did what they had to do, and then they had that deep run.
But absolutely. But if you want to go on to the contrast about first baseman, because if we're hypothetically not extending Alonso, and Brush was saying that he might decline that option. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that he says no and he wants more money. We're talking about guys like Christian Walker, Paul Goldschmidt, Carlos Santana, Josh Bell, Justin Turner, Ty France, Eric Wagaman, and Dominic Smith. All these people are going to be free agents around Christmas time.
You may just have to make a play.
But I get what you're saying, Bobby. I totally get it. But at the end of the day, if Alonso has 55 home runs and 120 RBIs, Cohen's going to have no choice but to throw the money at him because he's the logic. I mean, we can't guarantee them what these other players you mentioned in free agent are going to do, and their numbers are not even close to what Alonso is. And Alonso, obviously, Alonso, Lindor, and Soto are the 3 big Mets players.
They're your 3 key players right now, and maybe Beatty to a lesser extent.
Well, and unfortunately, Ventos right now is not having a good year. Yeah, I know he's on the IL or whatever, but Beatty's taking over and everything. And now McNeil, knock on wood, he's all of a sudden out of the blue, 7 home runs.
Yeah,
everything is coming together for the Mets right now. And like I said, it's
you guys mentioned before about Paul Goldschmidt being a possible option. Paul Goldschmidt is 37 years old.
Yeah,
are you going to want somebody to be the first baseman who's cruising on 40 when we know baseball is a young person's game?
No.
What is Goldschmidt's numbers this year for a Yankee? I don't even know.
Batting average is .310, has 7 home runs, 31 RBIs.
Yeah,
has an OPS of 826.
Not even close to Alonso's numbers. I mean, there's no question.
It's a loss of production.
Exactly. There's no question who you want back next year.
I mean, that's pretty much
Alonso is excited right now. He knows what's going on with the Mets. That's why he basically took this deal.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I did mention Michael Kay earlier today because of the media hype between John's question about who's been having an impact season between Alonso and Soto. Yeah, Michael Kay can go fuck himself because let me put it this way. He made a comment recently. I think it was on Friday of last week. He basically said, I don't let fleas go on the back of lions, and you're all fleas. What a bunch of clowns. Nitwit clowns. And he's referring to Mets fans, by the way.
Yeah,
and no Mets fans should feed into his bullshit.
Right. Yeah. And if you want to look at something that's even worse,
it's kind of, in a sense, in a way, pretty funny how it works.
Yeah, yeah. Although it could be worse. You could be the Boston Red Sox right now where you just got caught cheating and you have the record worst ERA.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the Red Sox, how do I say this?
They're up Schitt's Creek.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to get tactical, they went full Astros.
She wasn't happy. She asked me to get her
I'll put it this way. In regards to Michael Kay, there's a reason why they took him off the afternoon show and put him on from 1 to 3 when nobody
listens to that slot.
I'm sorry. When he sits there and says, "Oh, it was better for me," no, it wasn't,
You
because
got
he knew that
demoted.
on FAN. He knew the problem was on FAN. He wasn't beating the ratings of Evan and Tiki.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
there's that.
nuts.
And he figured, he figured, okay, let me go 1 to 3. Figured, okay, I can be the leader. And don't get me wrong, I like Al, but I'm sorry. To me, when they turn around and tell you, okay, well, we're going to switch you to 1 to 3 so we can keep you, gee, I wonder if there was a reason behind it.
Probably, because here's the thing. Michael Kay does not know when to shut the fuck up.
No New York media member knows.
Yeah, true story.
Like, he doesn't shut up. And whenever, it's almost like he says, I don't care about the Mets. But then he says, yeah, I don't care about you. But then you insist on talking about them. It's like, dude, are you going to stick by what you actually said? Or what are you doing?
He's a little butthurt because the Mets are doing better than the Yankees right now. I mean, he's butthurt because Soto is not on the Yankees and he's on the Mets. Soto right now is on a hot streak. He's lighting it up right now. And you know what? He wants to cry about that too. Let him go ahead. But he's so butthurt because Soto didn't come back, just like a lot of Yankee fans are too. Mm-hmm. You have to let Soto take his time with this. He's starting to load up right now. It's getting warmer outside and everything. Give him time, and now he's starting to light it up and everything. And
worst case, time. Give him the casting couch right behind me.
Exactly. It's all about Mets fans have to be patient, and you know what? The timing is coming around the corner, but like I said, we have other players that are producing too. And right now, I'd have to say the hottest player that's impressed me the most right now is McNeil.
Yeah, it's definitely turning it around.
It's a flying squirrel.
Dude, 2 weeks ago, you didn't even know what a casting couch was, and we had to explain it to you.
Okay, no. Fuck you on that. I did not know what it was because I knew what a casting couch in general was, but I didn't know what you meant by the other
We had to
casting
explain
couch.
what happens with the casting couch.
All right, well, you don't have to remind me.
And then of course our good buddy who was on the show ended up pointing out, I was like, oh yeah, Luffy. He's like, yeah, you got the casting couch right behind you. and that does turn into a bed, so
you're an idiot, you know that.
Hey, I've had that couch for 7 months since I moved into this place, so it's all good.
I'm just gonna be straightforward with you two. You're an idiot.
Fuck you.
I know.
Oh,
fuck you
man.
too. But yeah, what's it called? So the Red Sox got caught cheating, Houston Astros style. So the story is the Red Sox have been caught stealing signs by signals coming from first baseman coach. He stands up still for fastballs and makes clear movements for off speed, and the batters can pick up these by peripheral vision. And the first motion would be a fastball, and the coach does not move at all. The second pitch was a splitter, and the coach walks towards the batter, taking for the ball. And the third one was a fastball, and the coach does not move, which is a home run. So instead of using a garbage can, you're using the first baseman coach. Like, congratulations, Boston. You are no better than what you say that your New York counterparts are.
I'm sorry. We're surprised that a team from Boston is cheating. Are we forgetting what the Patriots did?
The New England cheaters.
You're right, Brush, because the Dolphins got fucked in the ass by the Dolphins all those years ago.
Oh, my God. Here we fucking go with this shit.
Oh, Jesus.
Never said anything because I forgot you were a Buffalo Bandit fan.
Yep.
And just on a
But how does it feel? How does it feel to keep on getting beaten by Mahomes? Who's your daddy?
How does it feel to get beat by your overlord, Josh Allen?
You see, he's got more stories in a book here and everything. If you try to change it around, I mean, it's not going to work.
Listen, at least the Bills can make the playoffs and didn't choke a 3-game lead in the AFC East a few years ago, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's because my fucking quarterback went down and I had some stupid idiot.
Oh, boo-hoo. You knew this was going to happen.
It could be worse. You guys could be Giants fans and have to deal with that circus. So
Jesus. Yeah, true story. You guys got stuck with Dayball and basically decided to keep Danny
Let
Dimes
me
and get
let
rid
me.
of Barkley.
Speaking of the Giants, let me know how that works out with Wilson. Because
Yeah.
actually, I mean, oh my God, that right there is a big circus. You sign Wilson and then you sign whatever. What's the other guy?
Winston.
Winston.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for Winston. I mean, he's coming in thinking he's going to be the starter, and then all of a sudden, the other quarterback ever.
Hold on, I'm just saying this much. You think the Giants are a joke? There's a team that's currently in Madison Square Garden, not called the Rangers, called the New York Knicks.
Oh yeah, they
You
fired
are a
Tom
joke
Thibodeau after
team.
getting after losing to Indiana in the semis, and then all the coaches are looking at they were denied permission to talk to them, and now it's like you're gonna have to settle for ass, or you're gonna have to pay Thibodeau way more to come back.
I don't even know who half these people are because I don't follow basketball. But oh my
Dude,
god,
they
that
wanted
is
to
such
try
a
it. They
soap
wanted to
opera.
hire Jason Kidd. I'm like, that's a downgrade from Thibodeau.
This is what I want somebody to. I'm a lifelong Knicks fan, so I'm used to disappointment when it comes to my basketball team.
Yeah, I've seen it before too. I actually
Disappointment
do get.
against
I
the
actually
Cavs.
do get MSG up
We
here.
have. I'll just put it this way: we had a coach who actually took this team to become relevant again, other than being the joke of a team we've been for the last 20-something years. But no, James Dolan has to get his ass involved and be like, oh, we're going to fire you because you took us to the finals. And you wonder why no team
Shit.
Dolan's a
is
dumbass.
allowing the Knicks to interview a coach. Good Lord.
Guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but I just checked the score. Florida is already up 3-0 against Edmonton.
Ooh, game over.
Yeah, dude, I told you this was gonna happen.
Game over.
I'll tell you this
Call
right
the
now.
cop.
What it's telling me right now is it's Edmonton in free agent next year better go after a goalie.
Yeah, because Stuart Skinner is clearly not the guy. I've
Oh,
been saying
yeah.
this. But he get crapped on for having the scandal. They also now have the worst record ERA in the history of Major League Baseball. Yeah, that's punishment worse than death. I mean,
Yeah.
think about that. The Boston Red Sox themselves had the worst first inning ERA in MLB history at a 12.83.
Oh God. You ain't winning games with that.
How many games was that? I believe it was in the,
And then they spend all that money and all those prospects on Crochet to be their number one guy. Come on.
That was just straight up stupid.
and it's the Boston Red Sox. I mean, I didn't really expect a whole lot out of them, you know? Like,
Yeah,
here's the thing about the Red Sox is the Red Sox produce themselves as this elite team in baseball, and they haven't done jack shit since they won the World Series in 2018. And now all of a sudden they have a new GM who hasn't done anything, and then you have another GM before him that did nothing. So it's like the Red Sox are just in shambles right now. And I mean, come on, this is Boston. They're a legit like a northeastern powerhouse in spending, and they haven't done that in a while. The Mets outbid them in everything else. They were in the Juan Soto sweepstakes, but I think anybody with a brain would have told you, yeah, Soto's not going to the Red Sox. I'm sorry.
Right. Oh yeah, there's no way he's gonna do that. And actually, Brush.
Yeah, he did. No, there is.
Yeah.
No, but he's right. He's right and everything. And
Yeah,
like I
2 for
said,
3.
you know, there you go. That's the problem and everything. Penalties and everything. Florida has one of the best power plays.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you're not going to win. I mean,
Yeah. And Florida stayed out of the box so far. So there you go. Playing clean.
and you know what, to be honest with you, I know we're only in, game 4 of this Stanley Cup, but not for nothing. Kachuk has been very quiet. All it takes is for him to wake up in one game and it's over. It's over.
Yeah. Well, the other problem too, Edmonton only has 7 shots on goal so far, and we're how far into the game at this point? I mean,
I also believe Kachuk is still hurt, but he's still playing through his injury.
yeah, and both goals on the power play scored by Kachuk. Exactly at this point.
And you can have McDavid crying to all of his players during periods like he did last year, yada this, yada that. But hey, you signed up for this. You wanted the money. Edmonton gave it to you and everything like that. I hate to say this, you picked the wrong team. You're going to keep on coming up, but you're going to come short every year. But you chose to re-sign with this team.
Mhm.
You're one of the highest. Actually, you are probably the highest paid player in NHL history right now. Hey, you take it or leave it. This is you chose to do this.
Yep, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
same
very
thing
well
with
true.
Nurse. So, I mean, Edmonton is going to have an untimely death in this series. The way that they're playing, so. But back to baseball, though. Apparently, Rosenthal is confirming that there likely will be another lockout. And let's just say that's going to suck for baseball.
Well, you know what? Now talk about the lockout because they said that a lot. They said that for a while with the NHL that there was going to be a lockout. But if I would ask you guys this question, what is one of the things that is going to save a lockout? If you guys have, I don't know if you guys know anything about this, but there's one thing and one thing only that saved a lockout from the NHL, and you really want to know what it is? It's the Four Nations tournament.
Well,
Money. Money.
Well, business is going to be business, but the big issue with Major League Baseball is a lot of the owners in the last several years had absolutely no problem with the Yankees going out getting Giancarlo or getting Judge or getting Juan Soto. They had no problem doing this for God knows how long. They had no problem doing this when the Yankees won 5 World Series titles in that 10-year span or where that was in the early 2000s. They had no issue with this at all. And then when the Dodgers get Shohei Ohtani or when the Mets get Juan Soto, it's, well, I want a salary cap.
Right.
It's unfair that we don't get to spend money.
I understand that, but look at what the Dodgers are doing. They're being smart. So my question is, why doesn't all baseball teams follow them? It's all about the deferred money.
Yeah. Well, Ohtani deferred it, and it's helped them with everything so far because they're not getting totally screwed on contracts at this point.
So then you know what? Baseball teams need to follow their way. But here's another thing too. If baseball doesn't want to lock out, then follow what the NHL's doing every single year. And I don't even know if they can do this. They might have to do it off season. Get a World Cup in.
Yeah, get teams from like Japan, the U.S., Dominican Republic, Cuba. You know, get the teams going against each other. I mean, it would probably be a huge draw.
A 5 or 6 nations tournament.
Yeah.
Every single year. You want to make money? Do it. And imagine this. Imagine they take that tournament and they bring it to New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or they had something similar, like where one of the international tournaments went to Miami, and that was the only thing that's ever sold out that ballpark.
And Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah, true story.
Why not do that? Why not do that? You want to make extra money. Do it. But you also have to let them know, and the players are not going to care because it's not about money. The players are playing for their country. They're not playing for money. If you want to add endorsement deals in on the side, that's a different story.
Go for it.
Yeah. What were you going to say, John? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, didn't they try that with the World Baseball Classic?
And it's working, though. They're doing it, yes, and they're doing it again.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the U.S. team already named Judge the captain of the team. They also mentioned the pitcher from Pittsburgh committing already, and there's going to be more commitments. Alonso is definitely going to be in it again.
So I was going to say, I don't think they're going to want to, unless they're going to not do the World Baseball Classic every year.
No, it's going to be like a thing with hockey, like a 5 nations tournament. If you don't want to lock up, that's how you make money.
Yeah, I can see that working.
But they're going to have to figure out. They can't do it in the middle of a season. So do you do it right? Because the World Baseball Classic, I believe, is done like right in the middle of spring training.
No.
Yeah, it's usually like February to like April.
No,
I thought the World Baseball Classic was like the ending towards of spring training, and then the players came back and they were able to get like one more spring training game in and start the season. Wasn't that how they did it?
No,
they did, because the problem is a lot of players don't want to do it because a lot of times they get injured.
Yes, I understand that. I totally get it.
Plays a huge
role. But you know
role.
what? But you see, that goes for any sport. The Four Nations tournament, you could have had any of those players getting hurt in that tournament. As a matter of fact, what was it? McAvoy got hurt, and there was another player from Team Canada that got hurt in that tournament. So that's a risk too, because you're doing these tournaments either in season or before it, which I totally get it. But if you want to make money and you want to play for your country, that's going to basically be on their decision too.
Yeah. Now, thinking about a little bit with baseball too, I mean, of course, you got the luxury tax going on, and you got a lot of owners that don't want to spend. But shouldn't one of the things that come up is like, oh, well, we don't want to spend anything. Shouldn't there be like a minimum floor that you actually spend to in baseball? Because perfect example, Colorado Rockies, Monfort doesn't want to do shit.
There is a minimum you have to spend. Yes, like a lot of these floor teams, Pittsburgh, Kansas City. Kansas City has always been a low team. The Colorado Rockies, the Miami, you spend money and you're gonna.
Yeah, raise the floor.
The issue with Major League Baseball and its owners is there's multiple owners in the league that don't want to spend money. And I guess because of the way it's systemed, because there's no salary cap, they feel, okay, I don't have to go over the luxury tax. The Wilpots did this for years. They felt, okay, there was no cap in baseball, so I don't feel forced. Why should I have to do it anyway?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're in a big market like New York, and then Cohen comes in and he's spending everything. I mean, you get Lindor, you get Soto.
Opposite.
Yeah, exactly. But if you look at the other owners, like if you look at Jerry Reinsdorf, if you look at Dick Monfort, if you look at Bob Nutting, if you look at all the other owners that are not willing to spend, that's on them for not only investing into this team or for their teams prospectively, but the idea that they're not willing to spend money is not only bad for their team, it's an insult to the game itself because you're not helping anybody else. Like if I wanted to go to a shitty team, let's say, okay, I just won a World Series with the Dodgers and I'm a free agent. I want to go play for the Rockies or the Cubs or the White Sox, but they're not going to give me what I want specifically.
Exactly.
But because there's no limitation, who gives a shit? I don't have to spend my luxury tax on them.
Well, all right, let me ask you this question because you're just going, and I'm going to go off the subject now. And I want to talk about the Islanders for a quick minute here.
Yeah.
How would you guys feel about if Steve Cohen took over the Islanders ownership?
Not going to happen. Next question.
You don't think it is?
No.
Okay.
It's not going to happen.
Because you put this in perspective. Obviously, one of the big problems with the Islanders organization right now, and they could be making a lot more money if this was to happen. Obviously, Malcolm, Ledecky, John Collins, and whatnot, they're over with the Islanders right now. Imagine this if they were able to get their own TV station, and imagine them sharing SYN with the Mets, and Steve Cohen taking over. You'll be seeing a lot more money coming in.
It's not going to happen, Brush. I'm telling you now. Steve Cohen does not care about the Islanders. He's not going to invest into a team.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that because I know he has a good relationship with the owners. You see him at games. He sits down low with Ledecky. I get it. Ledecky is the puppet of the ownership. Totally get it. But there is some kind of relationship with them. You see Ledecky at games. He's not just there because he's there. I'm not saying that the owners are going to give up partnership and everything, but I'm telling you right now, if it was to happen, you will hear rumors about Cohen, and I get it. This is his first ownership, learning how to take over the Mets and everything like that. Take a seat wherever you like over there.
Yeah,
you're welcome. It makes sense, and they would make more money if they were to get their own. Like I said, get their own TV station, and if they have to share it with the Mets, I get it. But I'm tired of MSG. I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of seeing the Islanders on that. I think they need their own station, and I think SNY would be the logic piece, and Cohen would be involved.
I could see it. And then you look at what Cohen's done, even besides upgrading the Mets themselves. Look at what he did with Citi Field in his first 3 years. Making those upgrades and everything, and really turning it into even a better ballpark.
Well, the only way I could go into Brush's point is I don't see Cohen giving up any sort of ownership with the Mets by any means. He's not going to sell the team anytime soon. But I don't see Ledecky doing it either. I think Ledecky just invested into a brand new stadium for the Islanders because they desperately needed it. Otherwise, they would have been gone.
Right.
And they got the stadium, and they're doing God's work by making it into, this big empire. And I've talked about it in the past.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that, Cohen is not. I honestly think it's disillusion to think that he would actually be willing to take over as the Islanders. It's not going to happen. He's going with the Mets. He's going to stand by it. Period.
Okay. All right. Well, what we'll do, let's go into the last part of the show. Let's talk a little bit about football because, of course, minicamp is underway, and James Cook actually did show up for the Bills because obviously he didn't want to lose any money. But Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson are a little bit different in terms of what's going on in their neck of the woods.
Oh, big time. I mean, at this point, I feel very strongly about this whole situation because I don't mind if Cook comes back and gets paid, but what's stopping me to think that he's going to want to stay? Because the report was that he didn't want to stay in Buffalo long term, and the Bills, they want to get a deal done. But this is all on James Cook. The Bills have all the cards, and they can spend as much money as they want on anybody they want to get. But as far as James Cook, he has to take his ego, take the hair out of his ass, and shove it up where it doesn't belong, and stop complaining about the $15 million. Because realistically, if he's gonna take this mentality of, oh, I want $15 million, I deserve to play, and I deserve to get paid more than Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry per se. It's not going to happen. The dude plays part-time football. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Unless James Cook, Saquon Barkley got a ring. You don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
He got a raise. Yes, he got a raise, but I still think he's getting underpaid.
Well,
he got the raise, but he took the pay cut too. Well, he took a discount. He did get a little raise, but he just won a Super Bowl.
Right. And James Cook doesn't have that.
Exactly.
Congrats, Giants. You fucked your careers over.
Hey, I hate to bust your bubble over there, Mr. Buffalo Bandit, but you know what? It is what it is.
What do you mean it is what it is? What are you talking about, guy?
Well, I'm just talking about right now when it comes to football and everything, and some of these outrageous contracts with some of these players is just crazy. It's
right?
Really...
Because it's not like trading away Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith for nothing is going to benefit.
Right.
Oh my God! That's if it even happens.
Right. Or there was the possibility that Jair Alexander
I personally don't want them to get traded. They're probably the two of the decent players that are on them and everything. I still want to challenge games and everything, and I still want to win games. But by you taking those two players away, we might be fighting with the Jets for a better record, and I don't want that.
Right. Rush, you've been fighting for the Jets. You've been fighting with the Jets for 10 plus years. The Giants are doing the same thing with Washington until recently.
We're a better team than the Jets right now.
You are not better than the Jets. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You guys are ass.
Hey, it could be worse. Could be Pittsburgh, who ended up taking Aaron Rodgers for a year. And the two of us are going to be seeing them in November.
All it takes is Rodgers to get hit once, and you'll see him in a wheelchair for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Or he'll be in that ayahuasca hut, wherever that is. But
I just overheard someone was telling me today that supposedly Rodgers just got married. It was a secret wedding. He got married like 3 months ago, and I didn't even know about that.
I heard about that.
Nobody cares about that.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
Right.
He was too busy being high and shit on his darkest retreat that he pulled a couple of years ago with the Packers or with the Jets and whatever the fine shit that was.
He's too busy sucking off whatever his name is, McCaffrey or whatever his name is.
Right, right.
His BFF.
Yeah, but I will say congratulations to Josh Allen and Haley Steinfeld, though they got married. So congratulations to the two of them. And then, of course, there was the possibility that Jair Alexander from the Green Bay Packers would have been traded to the Bills, but that has not taken place.
Yeah, that was a rumor a while ago that supposedly, because I was listening to this episode on Locked On Bills, the Bill Squad over the week. Mm-hmm. I think it was on Tuesday. I was listening to this episode, and they mentioned the same conversation we're having right now about Jair Alexander. He was supposed to get traded to the Bills for a 4th-round pick, but the asking price from Buffalo's perspective was too high. The Packers wanted a 1st-round pick, and the Bills said, no, we're not giving you a 1st-round pick for Jair. Because, first off, the guy is often injured more than not.
He's not worth a 1st-rounder.
He's not. He's not even worth a 7th. I mean, good on the Packers for cutting him, but it's like when you have a shutdown corner like that, and he's riddled with injuries, your best bet is going to probably be, and this is just my guess, Brush can be it only once. Here's what's going to happen. You can thank me later. Is Jalen Ramsey is going to go to the commies. The Dolphins will get a decent return for him. Then they're going to hire Jai Alexander for a 1-year deal.
Wait. Who did you say that? Who did you say that Ramsey was going to? Where?
Washington. That's what I think.
I've heard two teams: the Rams, back to the Rams, or the Ravens.
Ravens. I don't think the Ravens will have the money.
And I'll tell you this right now: the rumors are the Mets, the Dolphins would only be getting a second-round pick in return, and to me, I don't think that's fair value.
Why? Jalen Ramsey is like 31 years old at this point.
Okay, but the pick isn't equaling how much his contract is. I mean, we're paying. I mean, he's got to be one of the top highest paid cornerbacks in the league, and I just think you should be getting more than a second-round pick for him. I don't care. It's just my honest opinion and everything like that. I mean, second-round pick sounds flashy in ways, but I think he's worth a first rounder to me.
I'm sorry.
And we do have a little bit of hockey news right now, too. So Edmonton has actually started clawing their way back. It's 3-1 with 11:36 left in the second. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins scores a power play
That's
goal.
the thing. They got to keep. Edmonton guys has to stay on. That's fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got a lot to say about that. I mean, obviously it's and that's where I'll leave it at until we discuss it. But
yeah, by that point, dude, you'll be the #1 seller on fucking audible.com/Islanders.
Oh man. But let's get to our last football thing too, then we can dive into the draft to wrap up. But basically, of course, the San Diego Chargers, or the LA Chargers, and that's kind of like one of those things. They're going back to their roots. They're actually going to have their training camp in San Diego, which, of course, the hardcore San Diego fans will probably be all pissed off that they lost their team. But they have decided they're going to go ahead and host the training camp there this year.
Speaking of the Chargers, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but the Hogberg brothers supposedly were at a baseball game, and supposedly they were sitting right behind the catcher, and somehow Jim Harbaugh, I guess there was a foul ball. It went off the netting and it went through it. Somehow Jim Harbaugh saved his brother by almost getting smashed in the head with a ball. I watched the video and it was amazing and everything. It just popped up. I think it was on ESPN.com about it, and I watched a video of it, and he almost got smacked right in the head. And I believe Cal Ripken was on the other side of him. Cal Ripken obviously dodged it, but Holberg saved his brother from getting hit, being right in the head from a foul ball. It was amazing.
Actually, I ended up sending it in the chat if you guys wanted to take a look at it. So it's kind of one of those nice little line drives that ends up landing underneath the wall. So
there you go. Yeah, so I believe Mr. Blaine said he's going to be signing off for the night at this point.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I got an early day tomorrow. I wish I could say later.
No problem.
Yeah.
Usually we wrap up by 9:30, but it's all good. We're going a little long tonight, so it's all good for good reason. Lots of stuff to cover. So definitely good to have you here, and of course we'll see you the next go around. So it's all good, and of course get to know John. He's going to be here with us for the long haul. So we'll definitely be seeing more of him. Plus, I like the fact you brought out the actual real Raw's War when actually WWE was really worth watching. So that's worth it, man. The old school days, that was worth it. So,
oh yeah, I believe me. I cover pro wrestling on a weekly basis, so I totally know that.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, good having you here, man. Take it easy. We'll see you next week. All right.
Yep.
Rush. We'll get into what you wanted to talk about. We'll wrap up the show talking about the draft.
I mean, it's an exciting time to be an Islander fan. Even though we didn't make the playoffs last year, things are coming up for the Islanders. Yeah, icing on the cherry on top, we got the first pick in the draft. Okay, we have a new GM in place. We have a new full coaching staff. We got a new defensive coordinator for the Islanders, power play coach. Great. Obviously, we're still waiting to hear some information what's going to happen with Bridgeport and their coaching staff. There's rumors going around that there might be another assistant GM replacing Lou's son to take over Bridgeport. Obviously, Lou's son got an extension, a 2-year extension. You know what? Who cares? at this point. I see the thing is with me, I'm not the type of person that's going to throw Lou, his son, under the bus. Lou did a lot for the Islanders. All right? I mean, you got to give him credit. He took the Islanders 2 Eastern Conference championships. We were a couple games away from the Stanley Cup. Knock on wood. All right. Obviously, Lou's not getting any younger. He's getting older. Unfortunately, he's not here anymore. We have a new team in place. This draft is going to be big. And I don't really, and you hear all the he said, she said stuff going on with the draft. You hear what some certain Islander fans that they think they know what they're talking about. They think they're pro scouts who want Higgins. And like I said to you earlier and everything, he will bring in the fans. He will bring in money, selling jerseys and everything like that. There's going to come to a point when Higgins gets drafted, it's going to be him and Eisenman. You also have Richie in place and everything. Bridgeport is going to be stocked up in the next 2 or 3 years. All right, you are not rushing these players up, and I don't care what people say. Islander fans think they know what they're talking about by saying, "Yeah, he's playing with the Islanders next year." This one is. We don't know and everything. We're only fans.
Right.
You can speculate all you want. You can say what you want and everything like that. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinions. But first of all, I don't like when people trash the Islanders organization, number one. Some people continue to keep on talking about Lou, his son. Enough is enough. It's moving on. We have new people in place. There's no need to trash the Islanders organization. The big people from the Islanders don't like that. They listen. Trust me, I know this for a fact. They listen to all these podcasts. They listen to these groups. They follow. They have their own people. These days, everybody has to be careful what they say when it comes to the Islanders and everything like that. But big things are coming and everything for the Islanders. As for this draft and everything, the Islanders hold the cards first round. They don't have to draft pick number 1. They can trade down, and that's my honest opinion. I think they're going to trade down. San Jose wants certain players too. I think at the end of the day, the Islanders are going to trade down twice. They're going to grab A+ prospects from these teams, and then sooner or later they're going to grab Higgins. That's my point. That's my opinion. That's what I see. What's going on? Yeah, maybe some Islander fans are going to be disappointed and bitch and moan and cry and give excuses and everything because they want certain players. I know a lot of people looking at Schaefer, but like I said earlier, he scares me. That collarbone injury can happen again easily. And like I said, these Islanders organization and their doctors are smart. They've already looked at that. I already believe they know who they're picking. I mean, you got to put it this way too. And I said this to you, Bobby, too. Why are the Islanders holding a draft party all of a sudden? Why?
Because Lou's not there anymore.
No, I don't agree with that. It's something bigger. I get it. I'm not using the excuse because Hagen's from Long Island. It has nothing to do with that. First of all, listen. Hagen spent most of his career. I don't even know a lot of people know this. Hagen's and like I told you, I was living in Rhode Island for 25 years. Hagen spent half of his life in Rhode Island at a school called Mount St. Charles. Mount St. Charles is one of the highest high school programs when it comes to hockey. Brian Berard, Garth Snow, Byron Defoe, the list goes on. Those players came from that school. Paul Correa played at that school too. So that's where you learn and everything like that. He chose to go to BC, putting up the numbers there and everything. So just because he's from Long Island, he spent half of his career in Rhode Island. Charles McAvoy from Long Island. He lived in Long Island for a while. I don't know where he played in high school, but he went up to BU and played there. Now, I'm just saying this. McAvoy, I think, has 4 years left on his contract. You're not going to tell me of the possibility of McAvoy coming home and playing for the Islanders at the end of his career?
Okay, so my initial reaction to this is I get where the excitement comes from about Hagen. I have heard it because, again, I'm just spewing shit just because I've heard it. I'm sure you saw the same thing I did. There was a rumor that came out from Stefan Rosner, and he specifically said that Matthew Darche was at the Combine in Buffalo last week, and he specifically said that Darche went up to Bill Armstrong, the general manager of the Utah Mammoth, about a potential trade that would pretty much keep the Islanders to have the first overall pick. And the discussion is that they would be willing to trade the first-round pick they got from the Avalanche in the deal and maybe a young player in return. Like, hold on. Maybe for someone like Romanov or Dobson as one of the two options. Because, listen, in business, as you know, You got to give to get. And if you want the 4th overall pick, if you want Higgins, okay, if you want those 2 players, you have to give up something. And the Islanders right now for next year, because they're not getting Gavin McKenna, I guarantee you. And
Well-
the Islanders, because of that pick they got from Colorado, that is right now an arsenal in the trade asset point of view. And if you give Utah a 1st-round pick for next year, and maybe another player like Romanov or Dobson or even Pulak, I don't care. If you have the money to do it, you make the trade, but you also give up a 2nd rounder in this year's draft to make it happen. That's how I look
Okay.
at it.
I totally get that to a point. I understand where you're going with this and everything. But what you're also forgetting about, too, is that there's a possibility. So you cannot knock out who's picking number 5 and number 6. Nashville's picking number 6. Philly's picking number 5. Who is to say if the draft doesn't go the way that we all think it is, and wait a minute, Schaefer's now gets traded and he's picking, he's number 1, and then it goes to San Jose. Islanders are up number 2. Now, we don't know this for a fact, but what happens now if Nashville or Philly really, really want Misa? They call the Islanders, and the Islanders are going to be like, what are you going to give me? Like I said, this whole draft, when you're picking number 1, the cards are going all your way in the draft. You can keep falling down. You can continue to keep on falling down this draft. Pick the guy that you want originally and start raping teams from their prospect pool. And you know what? Islanders prospect pool is now going to be rated in the top 5. So you got to think of it that way too. Trades are going to come before the Islanders giving away trades for them. Everything's going to have to fall in place for what you're saying. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I believe right now the Islanders' focus is restocking up their prospect pool before doing. I don't want to call it a rebuild. I call it a retool.
Well, I can specifically say, because I was listening to the interview with Darsh, he said that the Ledecky and Malkin have both told Darsh they do not want to go into a rebuilding mode. They don't.
No,
They
and
want to
even
do
Lou, right? And even Lou stated it's a retool, not a rebuild. This was before Lou was let go.
right. But here's the difference. If you take the Buffalo Sabres, for example, because Tom knows I love talking about them because just to fucking torture him. Like take Buffalo, for example. They have a good prospect pool, but they haven't done shit with it since they started building all these guys up. How about this for a change, mind you? Look at the New York Rangers. They just got rid of $6.5 million of Chris Kreider's contract. That money could be used to get JJ Peterka if they choose to. The same thing could happen here with the Islanders. That they can easily keep the 1st overall pick. And here's what's going to happen. They're going to take Schaefer, whether you like it or not. They're going to take Schaefer. He is the most ready defenseman out of anybody in the 1st right now. They're going to trade with Utah. Potentially, they're going to swap picks with next year. The Mammoth get the 2026 1st rounder from the Islanders because that's going to be likely a late 20th pick or something like that, maybe 25 at minimum. They're going to give next year's pickup. They're going to give up Romanov. And then when they do, that 4th overall pick goes to the Islanders because you were saying that yourself that they're going to do something, and they're going to use the 4th overall pick on Higgins.
All right. Well, first of all, let's get some straight. Romanov right now does not have a contract going into next year. He is an RFA. So basically, in order for that to happen, it would probably have to be a signing trade. It's not going to just be we're going to throw Romanov in a trade without a contract in place. So this is exactly why I'm saying anything is on the table here. We don't know. There could be possibilities of teams offering offer sheets to some of these RFA players we have, and then that's going to be a whole different ballpark here. We can have let me just ask you guys as a question here. Dobson, what is he worth? Contract wise, what does he deserve? What do you think he should be getting from the Islanders as a contract? How much a year?
Well, let's compare this question for a minute. Dobson and Bowen Byram. These two guys are eerily similar to one another. Byram is probably going to get $8.5 million by either by the Sabres or another team. Dobson, same thing could happen here, but they're going by the value of the player. Like and to be completely honest with you, I'd rather have Bowen Byram over Noah Dobson. That's just my gut opinion because Dobson has been proven to be a liability sometimes in his own defensive zone. And I know he's 25 years old.
Okay,
but
so you want to
can
talk
get
about
something
Dobson for a minute here. Tell you the truth, there's one player, and this is where I'm saying what trades could happen. If there's a player that I want to replace Dobson, but like I said, I can't see San Jose doing this, is their number one prospect in Sam Dickinson. His numbers were 3 times better than Dobson's in the OHL. He also plays with the London Knights, who the Islanders have a couple prospects already on that team, as Isaiah George played with Dickinson. Yari Niemeni, who got the winning goal in the Memorial Cup final, plays with him too. I would love to have Dickinson on this team. Okay, he would be a perfect trade. I would get him and give San Jose that first pick in the draft. That's exactly what I would do in a trade. No picks involved, straight up prospect, level A prospect who's 2 years away from being in the Islanders organization, and bam. And that's where we start off. This is where we start off the draft. Right off the crosser right there of a trade.
Well,
and then like I said, but like I said, you have to give and take. It takes 2 to tango.
Yep.
But unfortunately,
actually, hold on just 1 second. We got 2 pieces of breaking news coming out. So, Oilers have come back. It's now 3-2. So Darnell Nurse gets his third from Ekholm and Henrique. And the big story that just broke out on CBS Sports News is former NFL wideout Antonio Brown is wanted for attempted murder.
Oh wow!
So CBS Sports is reporting that right now Miami-Dade, Florida, it has a warrant out for his arrest on a charge of attempted murder with a firearm, and the warrant also is calling for Brown to post a $10,000 bond and remain under house arrest. So what they're saying is that the incident ended up stemming from a fight that allegedly took place between Brown and other individuals shortly before midnight on May 16th. And there were videos from the altercation on social media, as with pictures of Brown in handcuffs. So apparently what ended up happening is he wasn't arrested at the time, but Miami-Dade, they want to talk to him, and basically from there it also showed that Brown punched a man and later appeared to take the gun of a security officer and run towards the individual that he punched. So basically from there it also says that the alleged victim told investigators that Antonio Brown ended up shooting at him twice, possibly hitting his neck, and it caused him to go to the hospital to get treated.
Damn. So AB is a fucking idiot. Not surprising there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So,
by the way, we have a tie game in Florida.
Okay. Yes, we do. Vasily Podkolzin from Nurse and Draisaitl.
Yep.
On the back
end. So like we were talking about and everything with the Islanders and everything, there's a lot of stuff that's on the table. And like I said, right now it's all about the he said, she said, and everything like that. I don't know what's true and what's not. For Stefan Rosner, let me tell you about Stefan Rosner. He's not even getting paid by the Islanders. He works for the hockey writers. That's who pays him. Stefan Rosner is not always right with his information. He's wrong a lot. And also, from my understanding, he slipped a couple times with information that was never supposed to come out to the public about the Islanders. He's been warned so many times by when Lou was the GM and by the other big people. He's still new at this. Obviously we don't really have Arthur Staple anymore. Arthur Staple was one of the smartest guys in the world when it came to the Islanders. Mm-hmm. He knew what he could say and he knew what he couldn't say. Andrew Gross is on that top level too. He's a reliable source. But when it comes to Stefan Rosner, and once again, I'm not knocking him. I'm not talking about him. But this is from what I've heard from him, is that he is not always right when it comes to his information. Okay, he's an insider and everything. To me, he's just an insider, and he works for the hockey writers, not for the Islanders. Islanders don't pay him and everything like that. So be careful with what you hear from him, because he's not always right. Just on my honest opinion. So, and I get it. Like I said, sometimes he's knocked on, but there's a lot that he misreads or gets confused about, and he sometimes is wrong and everything. And when you ask him questions and everything about some certain things with the Islanders, it's very sometimes it gets complicated for what his reasoning or what his answer is to a lot of these things because it doesn't make sense. And like I said, the thing is he's young. He has still a lot of learning to do. He's very young. I've met him a couple times when I was down in Florida and everything like that. He came out and introduced himself to us. He knew about the Drive for Five and all that stuff, but he's not always accurate with his stuff.
Okay,
Good
I'll
point.
just put it at that.
So, but like I said, we still got 2.5 weeks to go. I mean, there could be some other stuff coming out that we don't know about. But I don't know. Once again, I don't know who the Islanders is going to draft. We don't know. All we can do is guess right now at this point. If there's going to be a trade made, it will probably be announced maybe 3 or 4 days before the draft. But we can, like I said, it's all about guesses. We can all guess who they're going to draft. But we know how the Islanders work. They're very quiet. They don't like to give clues. That's how Lou was always, and we don't know how Darsh works, and maybe it could be that way too. He might be a little bit more descriptive with the things and everything, and I'm sure he'll explain to us why he decided to draft this one over this one. We don't know and everything. And obviously, everybody's given him patience with him, but I don't think he's that type of guy and everything. He's smart. He won't give anybody clues on who he's drafting. Like I said, he could know already who he's drafting. But I'm sure that there's talks going on with other teams. But at the end of the day and everything, if you're coming to call the Islanders, Darsh is going to come back and say, "What are you going to give me?" And that's how it
his
works.
job.
That's exactly, and that's how it works and everything. He's just not going to take a player just to take a player. He wants fair value in return. And obviously, an NHL draft is not an NFL draft. It's not. The prices of picks and everything are probably going to be way different. But you want that first round pick. How bad do you want him? What are you going to give me?
Mhm.
Ante up. Because
Right.
at the end of the day, Darsh wants to impress the Islanders organization. He wants to impress the fan base. Okay, impress us. Do something. Do something not risky, but do something like take a gamble and do it. Like you're only you're a GM for a GM. But you know what? Come out of the woodwork right away and do something like overwhelm us. Like, holy shit, you just did this. I can't believe it. Like, okay, we mean business.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, good example, I could compare it now that the Sabres have Kakalainen as a senior advisor
Look,
and how he
I
went out
don't
and got
really. I
Goudreau.
mean, Bobby, I don't know the Sabres like you do. You know about them. You used to bleed them and everything. But from my understanding, it is and everything like that is I think the problem with the Sabres is that they're afraid to spend money.
Oh yeah, Pagula's a cheap ass. He only cares about the Bills until the end of Bill season, and then he likes
Because
to wash, rinse, and repeat with the Sabres and not spend anything. But he'll
I'll
spend
tell
with
you
the
this
Bills.
right now: if there is a player that I feel bad for the Sabres, that anybody on that team, and I would love to see him in an Islander uniform, is Tage Thompson.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
I know
Tage
it's
will-
not. I know you're gonna have to
Yeah.
give up ransom to get him. I get it. I totally get it.
Oh yeah.
His cap hit is only 7.5. That's very doable for the Islanders. But
Right. I get
once
where you're
again,
coming from on that though.
you're probably gonna have to give up ransom to get him.
Mhm.
Probably
Yeah.
depends on the situation.
But
Right.
he if you really want me to know, Tage Thompson reminds me of, and I'm just going off a guess because I don't know this for a fact because I haven't seen him play yet. But he reminds me a little bit of Richie.
Who, Tage or Tice?
Tage Thompson reminds me of Richie.
No, you know who Tage reminds me of? Because I watched him for a few years. He has the body and the frame of Mario Lemieux. He does. I'm not comparing him to Mario in stats. I'm comparing him to his weight, to his size, to his mobility, to all that stuff. Mario Lemieux was a very gifted player, and he was fucking huge.
Yeah, I totally agree. I understand where you're coming from in this, but the thing is that now we have Richie in with the Islanders right now. He's a 6'4". He has the pounds and everything, and I haven't seen him play that much. Obviously, this is going to be a breakout for the Islanders, and I believe he's going to be down in Bridgeport this year. And I think if there's a real bad injury, And if he's putting the numbers up, I say give him a call up maybe after 50 games, maybe, depending on where Bridgeport's standing and the Islanders are standing and everything. But his numbers are pretty decent in the OHL. Can you bring those numbers over to the NHL and Bridgeport? Who knows? I mean, who knows? Yeah, it's the same thing with Misa. Misa had some great numbers in the OHL. Can he adapt to the NHL and bring those over? No, probably not. There's only some certain players like Crosby that had crazy numbers in the OHL, and he brought him over to the NHL. Tavares was another one.
Yeah, McDavid's
there's
another
not
one
many
too.
players that can contribute like that and have the same exact numbers. McDavid is on a different type of world. His numbers were crazy when he played for Erie. He brought that over to the
was
NHL.
fun watching him play down there, and that's only 2 hours for me.
So this is exactly what I'm trying to say. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what we have with Richie. I mean, those are the prospects: the Dow Coles, the Niederreiters, the Wallstroms, the Kiefer Bellows, and everything. First rounders. It didn't work out for the Islanders, but I think the problem is that these players did not have enough development time down in Bridgeport. Some of these players were definitely rushed up. Ryan Strome is a big one. He played most of his career up with the Islanders. He didn't get enough time down in Bridgeport.
Yeah, I mean, perfect example I can even give you back from the time when we had him on the Sabres. Mikhail Grigorenko was rushed, and he should have been playing with the AHL Rochester Americans a lot longer than he did. But Darcy Regier was an idiot, decided to go through the rookie tryout, essentially give him the 10 games, and then you're locked into having that full contract where you couldn't go two ways. You had to keep him up here, and he just never performed. And then, of course, trying to trade him, never performed. And Grigorenko was a prima donna who basically said, "Oh, I'm never going to go down to the AHL." Well, ultimately he did, and he was out of the NHL altogether within a few years. But
Speaking of Rochester, didn't they go pretty far in the playoffs this year with the AHL, Bobby?
Yeah, they lost to Laval.
So that should tell you something. The development is getting there with the
Yeah,
Sabres.
I mean, they've improved. I mean, Murray totally decimated them, and then Bonnaroo brought them, at least started rebuilding them and getting them back, and then basically now it's just with the big club where they don't want to spend, but at least in terms of the depth that they have down there, I mean, they've improved a lot over the last 5 to 7 years. And then Devin Levi has been lights out for them this year. So,
well, I'll tell you this too.
I don't want them to rush.
I will tell you this too. What'll be amazing? Imagine this, because this really hasn't happened in hockey in a long time. But imagine if the Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup and the Charlotte Checkers win the Cup down in the AHL. They're both affiliates with Florida. Imagine that.
Oh man, that would be something.
That doesn't happen a lot. That doesn't happen a lot in the AHL and NHL for both the teams. I mean, I think the one year that it happened, I believe it was the Capitals and Hershey winning both cups at the same time. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's what happened.
That might have been the last one that came out. I mean, it just doesn't happen very often.
I think so. So I mean, that'll be pretty cool if Charlotte Checkers and Florida both win their cups. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that being said, we went 2 hours tonight. So before we go ahead and we wrap up, were there any other thoughts anyone wanted to throw in before we end the show tonight?
Don't worry, Brush will just continue the show for another half an hour. If we
I gotta go. I gotta finish up. I gotta finish up. I'm closing up in about an hour. So I gotta get some work done over here. But I'm sure I'll have my cliff notes ready for the next one going forward and everything. But you know, but the thing is the bottom line is by next Thursday, because I whether you guys do the next show on Wednesday or Thursday, maybe we'll have better ideas in a direction, or maybe what the Islanders could be directing a little bit towards the draft. And maybe there's a possibility we'll have an answer on who's going to be the new Bridgeport coaching staff coming in for next year too. The closer you get to the draft, we'll get more answers and we'll get better ideas on what's going deeper with the Islanders and the whole organization. I mean, it takes time and everything. I wasn't expecting to get an answer about Bridgeport staff yet, but also I think we're 2 weeks away from the NHL draft, right, guys?
Something like that.
The thing is too, I believe so. July 27th. So I believe right after the draft, the Islanders are going to hold open their prospect camp, and then Bobby, I think I told you about this. July 3rd. Now because of Lou gone, the GM has already decided this. There is going to be the blue and orange I can't believe I said that. The blue and orange prospect game at Northwell again.
Just let me know when and where, and I'll be there.
Yeah, I believe it's July 3rd.
All right. Well, if it's free to the public, I'll no doubt be there. But I also
Yeah.
have to make sure it's also based on what time it starts.
Yeah, I believe, and as a matter of fact, I believe that the Drive for Five and myself, we will be holding a full tailgate for that before before it happens and everything. This is something that hasn't happened in a while, so we're excited for this to happen. So we're gonna hold a full tailgate, have food available for everybody that's invited and everything. And then, like I said, that prospect game is going to be lit up because we got a lot of prospects coming in that are going to be at this tournament. And that means everybody's going to get a little taste of Richie, Eiserman, and whatnot. And then, obviously, whoever gets drafted. So Hagens might be in, whether it's Hagens, Schaefer, Misa, and then whatever draft picks they decide to pick on in the later rounds are going to be invited in. And I'm telling you right now, this is going to be something that Islander fans do not want to miss because now we're getting to see the future of the Islanders down the road. And if it's Hagens and Eiserman down the road, you're going to be selling tickets. You're going to be selling jerseys. It's a new culture for the Islanders because they're getting younger. And there are other prospects that are waiting just to fold in with these players sooner or later as Islanders. And it's going to be an exciting time. There might be the next couple of years it's a waiting time, but if we can just float right now going into and hopefully get in the playoffs, I still believe that if the Islanders have enough money after free agency and everything, that they are going to sign Brock Bozar. And I think I told you about this. I think that's going to be the only addition to the Islanders. It's only going to make the Islanders bigger and better. The problem is with the Islanders is injuries and injuries and injuries, just like baseball. Islanders have had problems last year with keeping players healthy.
Right.
And if the Islanders, and also we also have a question mark in our backup goalie because the reports and everything that I've heard that Varlamov may have to retire because he supposedly has a knee issue.
Yeah, that's not
And that
good.
means,
That's the
that
case.
means if the Islanders, and that's an additional, I believe, I think it's 3.75 in cap space if Varlamov has to retire. And that means that's an additional 3.75 in play for the Islanders to spend. And that means they're going to have to go out and get another backup goalie. Because if I'm an Islander fan, I can't depend on Hogberg to be your backup goalie.
Right.
So they're going to have to go on the market and get another goalie.
Well, let's just play it out. That's kind of how I look at it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's all
Yeah.
It's a waiting game. It's going to be a waiting game.
Yeah.
Of course.
So.
Good stuff.
But yeah, go ahead, Tom.
No, I was gonna say, any other thoughts before we go ahead and wrap up for the night?
Yeah. So my final thoughts are that this is a preview of what's to come. minus 2 hours. So because I know.
Hey,
I know,
we've gone
but
long before. We've
here-
gone as long
Hey,
as
I'm
5.
gonna say this now. I'm gonna say this.
I think we could have went on for another 3 hours with this.
Okay, I'll
Well,
put
remember
this
the
right
draft?
now.
Remember the NFL draft a couple years ago when we went like almost 6 hours because of how
Oh
long
my God.
everything went.
But here's my thoughts on this before I lose it. Is there's 2 things you need to know about Brush. Great guy overall, great talker. But once he gets going, he's like a fucking
There's
car.
no stopping.
He will never shut the fuck up.
You're absolutely right. When it comes to sports, you're absolutely right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah,
He's like a little car.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
this is good.
you always, when it comes to sports, you always learn from your mistakes.
Mhm.
You always learn. You always learn. Whether you're wrong with something, you have to admit to that you're wrong, or not come out with the statement, say, well, it's a possibility, instead of basically coming out and saying, yeah, this is definitely happening, or no, you're wrong. No, it's not about that. You have to obviously be careful in how you approach things and everything, and how you state them and everything.
Mhm.
You know, you're not an insider. You're just a fan,
Right.
just like
I know
you guys
exactly
are.
what you're
And
talking
there's
about
things,
here.
and there's
So-
things we're not going to see that happen within the team. It's just how it works.
See, the thing is, too, is that I have certain people that I can ask the questions to. Some of my friends on Facebook that I know that can give me an honest opinion with things. So I go to those certain people, and then I go off of what they're saying. Sometimes I don't agree with them, but usually some of their stuff that comes out, they're right. And I know who, like an example, when it comes down to this draft, I know who I can talk to about that, because it makes more sense when it comes out and how they how they answer my questions.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
but right now it's an exciting time to be an Islander or a Mets fan.
Yes, it is.
I'm not going to say
And-
Dolphins. I'm not going to say the Dolphins right now because I don't know.
Yeah, and I would say the Sabres, you're just hoping that Adams doesn't touch the draft, but obviously, of course, he's going to probably be involved. But hopefully Kekalainen has some good influence there. So
Yeah, true.
So we'll see. But one last thing on my end too. So Holiday Touchdown with Bill's Love Story wrapped up filming today out in East Aurora. They are done with the entire project, so we'll see that movie come out at some point in November, and we'll have to see exactly what happened because, of course, as Bobby knows, I know. You don't know this yet, but I was there a couple weeks ago and was one of the extras in the stands. So who knows? My nice little fat ass self might have ended up in a Hallmark movie that be seen in my salute for service hoodie. so we'll see what happens. Bob.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, congrats to you on the credit, hopefully, and
Dude, they don't credit extras. I just fucking showed up for free. So
fair enough.
Yeah, but no, it was cool though, and I will say we actually did gain some followers because I told you and Brush didn't necessarily know this, but the person that was there was actually watching our stuff right next to me on their phone. They're like, it's like, oh, okay, you do have a show.
Yeah, so props
it
to
was
that. Brush said he's going to get us some followers as well. So it's going to be all good and handy. Rebrand from Buffalo After Dark to I-86 After Dark. It's going to be good. I can't wait. And I have some names in mind that I do want to interview. But I will say before he comes back is Brush is a great guy.
Yep.
Fuck, he's back already. God damn it. I was going to say, once he gets going, he never shuts the
You're
fuck
right.
up.
No, you're absolutely
And it's
right.
all
Yeah.
good.
I love talking sports, man. I love talking sports
stuff.
and everything.
You're right, because we have a very bright future, all four of us together. I can't wait. And I just told Tom that we have an interview set up on the very first episode of season 6 of I-86 After Dark with Matt the Steamroller Favola. I'm not sure if you're into martial arts or whatever.
Okay.
So I'm going to put it on the record. We have an interview with him in September. So
Okay.
that's going to be a lot of fun. So you'll get to meet the guy if you're there.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Okay.
Yeah. Be back for the second time on the show. Good to see him again. And of course, we'll get the graphic and everything out usually about a week or two ahead of time. And we'll get that all set. But yeah, it was really cool to have on here the last time. And we got to spend what did we spend? Like good half hour with him on here. We did a little interview and a little bit of chat with MMA and got him going on. And then actually one possibility too, I did reach out to Derek Plant again, see if we can get him back for a second time. So we'll see how that goes. But he was absolutely hilarious when we had him on here the last time. And I think we spent like a good hour with him and he was just telling us about old time hockey and everything and some of the Sabre stories. And he was actually a really cool guest to have on here. So we'll see what happens. And then there's a couple others that I'm sort of thinking about that I might have in mind too. So we'll play it by ear and, maybe one of those seasons where we get some more guests on here and get to do some of the more of the interview stuff that we don't get to do all the time. So not a bad
My
thing.
honest opinion is, and I've talked to him many a times. And Bobby, I think I might have told you this because I'm actually friends with him on Facebook. Try to get Rich Pilon on here. If he found out that I was on, he would come on.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do the talking for us, then that would be great.
I can definitely do the talking for him. I can definitely set something up and see when he has free time. I'm sure he would love to come on and talk hockey and everything. And if you guys had any questions and everything, he wouldn't be afraid to answer the questions. Pilon, I've met Pilon a couple times at Islander games when he did charities and everything, and I've talked to him one-on-one before and everything. He's a very down-to-earth guy. He's awesome. He's obviously busy doing his own hockey thing. He's a head coach for some team in Canada and everything. So he does that a lot and everything. And but he does find free time to discuss hockey and everything like that. And if I reach out to him and everything, and I can have him reach out to one of you guys, and then set up a time and place and everything, I'm sure he would be down to do it.
Very cool.
Oh yeah, I'm totally on board for that.
Yeah, very cool. So. Yeah, with that being said, you guys got a little preview of what's coming up next season. So it's, a lot of cool stuff. Obviously, we're retooling some different things with the show. Of course, you guys learned what the new name of the show will be starting in September. So, and you got to meet, of course, John and Brush tonight too.
Right.
So with that being said, it's a good feature. Obviously, keep watching us on YouTube, and of course, you can see us on our Facebook page. Also, if you want to see our previous episodes, go to Spotify. They're on there, and they're available to download to your favorite device. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap up for the night. Rush, good to have you on. Of course, Hanson, as usual, myself, take care of yourselves and each other, and we will see you next week.